In this video, we're looking at the practice problems for numbers 4 and 5. Number 4 says Diego and Jada are working together to solve this equation right here. Diego solves the equation by dividing each side by 2 to undo the squared, and then adding 2 to both sides to get rid of the minus 2, so he gets x equals 52. Jada asks Diego why he divides each side by 2, and he says, I want to find a number that equals 100 when multiplied by itself. That number is half of 100. What mistake is Diego making? So he is mixing up multiplying by 2 and multiplying by itself. So if this is the case, squared means that you take a number and you multiply it by itself. So if he's saying that when he's if you want us to take a number and multiply it by itself, that number would be 50. 50 times 50 is not 100. 50 times 50 is 2,500. That is not right. So he divided by 2 instead of used a square root to undo the square. If you were Jada, what could you say to Diego to make him realize his mistake? I would ask him, well, when you take 50 times 50, does it equal 100? And hopefully right there he says, no, it doesn't. So what would you multiply by itself to equal 100? What would you multiply by itself to equal 100? And hopefully he'd be like, oh, 10 times 10. The square root of 100 is actually 10. So if we were to solve this, we would say x minus 2 squared equals 100. The squared part is already all by itself, so we would take the square root of both sides. So that goes away. So we'd have x minus 2 equals, now the square root of 100 we said is 10, because 10 times 10 is 100, and it is negative 10. So we have to think about both of these. X minus 2 equals 10, and x minus 2 equals negative 10. So if we add 2 to both sides, we get 12 there. And if we add 2 to both sides there, we get negative 8. So actually, this is what Diego should have come up with, not his answer of 52. The last one we're going to talk about in this video is number 5. It says, as part of a publicity stunt, an event designed to draw attention, a TV host drops a watermelon from the top of a tall building. The height of the watermelon t seconds after it is dropped is given by this equation right here, where h is in feet. Find h of 4 and explain what it means in this situation. So that means we're going to plug 4 in, because anything in parentheses, remember, using function notation is an input. So h of 4 equals 850 minus 16 times 4 squared. So that would be 850 minus, now 4 squared is 16. And then 16 times this 16 is 256. So 850 minus 256 equals 594. Okay, so that means after 4 seconds, the watermelon has a height of 594 feet. Find h of 0. What does this tell you about this situation? Well, we're going to plug 0 in up there, so we get h of 0 equals 850 minus 16 times 0 squared. Whoops, I wrote that in the wrong thing. Sorry. H of 0 equals 850 minus 16 times 0 squared. 0 squared is just 0. 16 times 0 is just 0. So this is really 850 minus 0, or just 850. So at 0 seconds, like the beginning, the watermelon started at 850 feet up. Okay? Now it says, is the watermelon still in the air 8 seconds after it's dropped? So let's plug an 8 in here. I'm going to make my 0 into an 8. There we go. Look at us, not even scribbling anything out. So 8 seconds after it's dropped, let's see. So we have 850 minus 16 times 8 squared, which is 8 squared is 64 because 8 times 8 is 64. Times that by the 16 and we get 1,024. 850 minus 1,024 is negative 174 feet. So no, the watermelon hit the ground with a D, not a T, when the height was 0. This is already down at negative 174. I don't think the watermelon drilled into the ground 174 feet, and it's definitely still not in the air if it's 174 feet underground. So no, the domain of this function stops when the height is 0, and it stops right there, and it doesn't really go past that. So no, it's not still in the air. It has a negative height, which doesn't make sense in this situation.